welcome to my teacher closet. I'm Miss Colleen and I'm so glad you're here today. Today is Word Wednesday, and that means that every Wednesday we are going to learn a new word. It's probably going to be very long and big, and it's a word that you can use in your life, not only now, but as you get older and older and older. And today, our word is perseverance. And perseverance is refusing to give up when life gets hard. I know, life is hard. It's hard when you're a kid. It's hard when you're a teenager. It's hard when you're an adult. But we can have perseverance and we can go on, kind of like that little engine that could. I don't know if you know that story. That would be a good one to read. But today we are going to learn about a man who had perseverance all through his life. When he was a kid, when he was a little bit older, when he was in college, when he was an adult, and even now, because he is still alive. And our story today is called Whoosh, Lonnie Johnson's super soaking stream of inventions. And this is Lonnie Johnson, and he is an inventor. And this book is by Barton, illustrated by Tate. So let's just get started because today's story is a little bit long. All right, so let me show you this. So when I show you this inside of the cover, what does that make you think of? What kind of person do you think that Lonnie Johnson is? There's all kinds of things here. There's a rocket, a robot, a toy parachute, a hair curler apparatus, action figures with the ability to shoot water. Whoosh. Here we go. Every day brought a challenge for young Lonnie Johnson. The challenge of finding space for his stuff. 6 Johnson kids were squeezed into their parents' small house in Mobile, Alabama. Lonnie would have loved a workshop of his own, but there just wasn't room. There was nowhere to keep his rocket kits. Bamboo shooters, rubber band guns, erector sets, go-kart engine, bolts and screws and other spare parts his dad let him bring in from the shed, and various other things he'd hauled back from the junkyard. Lonnie loved building and creating. Ideas for inventions just kept on flowing. He learned how to make rockets from scratch. Kids at school gathered to watch Lonnie launch them. And he learned how to make rocket fuel. When it caught fire in the kitchen, Lonnie's mom didn't make him stop. She just sent him to work outside. Lonnie wanted to spend his life designing things, building things, and getting them to work. He wanted to be an engineer. However, Lonnie took an exam that said he would not make a very good one. His dream had been challenged. Lonnie was discouraged, but he knew that whoever had graded his test hadn't met Linux. Inspired by a TV show, Lonnie had built his own robot. He made it out of scrap metal and named it Linux. Compressed air cylinders and valves allowed Linux's body to turn and its arms to move. The switches came from an old broken jukebox. Lonnie used a tape recorder to program Linux, and as a bonus, the reels looked like eyes. Lonnie wanted to enter his creation in a science fair, but he couldn't get the transmitter to work.
Without it, Lonnie couldn't send commands to Linux. Science fairs came and went. Lonnie missed one and then another until he got an idea. Now, Lonnie may or may not have asked before he borrowed his little sister's walkie-talkie. But it fixed the transmission issue. His school's team took freshly finished Linux to a 1968 science fair at the University of Alabama, where only 5 years earlier, African American students hadn't even been allowed. Having to compete in a place that still wasn't very welcoming? Now that was a challenge with a capital C. Against other schools from all over the state, Lonnie's team won first place. Soon Lonnie left home to go to college at Tuskegee Institute, where he stood out as a self-confident, insightful, creative thinker. He stood out as a student who asked the right questions, precisely defined problems, and formulated solutions. And he stood out as the guy who built his own booming sound system out of cast-off electronics. It even had lights that flashed in sync with the beat. Lonnie sometimes studied right in the middle of his own parties. The extra studying paid off. He became an engineer after graduation, and that took him beyond Alabama, way beyond. When NASA was sending an orbiter and probe called Galileo to Jupiter, the space agency needed to ensure a constant supply of power to the orbiter's computer memory. The engineer who had to figure out how to do it was Lonnie. His challenge was to come up with a lightweight backup system able to keep essential functions going in case the main power was lost. It wasn't easy. It wasn't obvious, but Lonnie found a solution. Some of NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory doubted his idea would work. Lonnie convinced them it would, and he was right. As it photographed Jupiter and its moons, Galileo was supported by the power package that Lonnie designed. Much of what we know about Jupiter could have been at risk in a power failure if not for Lonnie. Ideas for other problems to solve just kept flowing. They flowed whether Lonnie was working with hundreds of people at NASA or up late tinkering on his own inventions in, finally, his own workshop. Lonnie knew the world's millions of refrigerators and air conditioners needed a new cooling system, one that didn't use R12, a chemical that it was bad for the environment. He had an idea for using water and air pressure instead. To test his idea, he made a pump and nozzle, connected them to the bathroom faucet, and turned on the faucet, turned on the pump, and then whoosh! The stream that blasted across the bathroom was so powerful, it created a curtain-swirling breeze. It also gave Lonnie an idea for yet another invention. This, he thought, would make a great water gun. First, he had to find or make the parts, including a pump small enough for a child to handle. Then he had to glue the parts together into a prototype. That's an earlier version with room for improvement. Finally, Lonnie tested his strange-looking squirt gun at a picnic. "Does it really work?" asked the man. "Sure," said Lonnie. Want to see? Lonnie worked the pump, which squeezed air into the chamber. When he pulled the trigger, the air escaped, forcing water out in a whoosh. For a water battle to be fair, there couldn't be just one of Lonnie's water guns. He needed help making more. So he went to a toy company. After toy company, after toy company. The word no flowed again and again, but finally one company said yes. It planned to make his water gun. Lonnie also had other projects: a water-propelled toy airplane, 2 kinds of engines, and his cooling system. He found inventors to provide the money for turning his ideas into products people could buy. He made a leap of faith, quit his day job, and devoted himself to full-time inventing. But soon each plan fell apart, even the one for the water gun. These things sometimes happen. But when they happened one after another to the same person, well, that's some pretty bad luck. Lonnie didn't have a job. He didn't have the money he'd been counting on. He and his family had to move out of their home and into a little apartment. He was angry and scared. But Lonnie had dealt with challenges all his life. He knew a lot about solving problems. And he still believed in his inventions, especially the water gun. Lonnie went looking for another toy company. In 1989, he found a toy maker who was interested in seeing the water gun if Lonnie ever happened to be in Philadelphia. "Oh, don't make a special trip," the guy said. Lonnie made a special trip. In his wife's suitcase, he carried a new prototype. He unpacked it, filled the tank with water, pumped the gun until the air pressure was good and high, and whoosh! Wow! Kids everywhere agree with that wow. Lonnie's water gun, called the Super Soaker, became a smash hit. In no time, there were Super Soakers in backyards and on beaches, in parks and on playgrounds. Each sale of a Super Soaker put a little money into Lonnie's pockets. All those hours, all those years that Lonnie spent in his workshop had paid off big time. Now he could afford to do just about anything he wanted. So what did Lonnie do? He got a bigger workshop, which is where you'll find him today, because facing challenges, solving problems, and building things are what Lonnie Johnson loves to do, and his ideas just keep flowing.
Wow, there's a lot of perseverance in his life. So let's think about the things that Lonnie Johnson had to persevere. Persevere is another word for perseverance. So when he was young, he didn't have space for a workshop, did he? So where did he do his inventing? That's right, in the kitchen. And did his mom get really mad when he used rocket fuel to kind of burn the kitchen up? I don't know how much it got burnt up. No, she just said, take your inventions outside. So he had someone next to him that was rooting him on and saw that he was a good inventor. And he kept on going. What about in school? People said when he took a test that he wasn't going to be a good engineer. He wouldn't make it. Maybe he did poorly on the test and didn't do very good on the math or science sections. Did that stop him? No, he did not let what other people said stop him from doing what he loved to do. That is perseverance. That's refusing to give up when life gets hard. He became an engineer and a lot more, didn't he? Let's see what else. I had to write some of these things down so I wouldn't forget. His team won the science fair. And when he was at the science fair, his team was all black gentlemen, and I think there was a lady on there. And the white people at the science fair didn't think that they would win. But guess what? They did. Because it doesn't matter the color of your skin. If you work hard and you have perseverance, you can take first place in the science fair. Plus, they had a great idea. A robot? Awesome. Let's see what else. NASA, when he was at NASA, people doubted his idea about helping the Galileo get to Jupiter. But guess what? He kept explaining it to them, and they used his idea, and that helped get the Galileo to Jupiter so that we can learn more about space and planets. He did it. He persevered. When he made the water gun, and he went to all those different toy companies, and they said, no. Well, first of all, who doesn't like a water gun? Those people must have been crazy. Probably people in suits that never got outside. But he kept on because he knew that water guns are fun to play in the hot, hot summer. I'm getting hot in my closet today. Whew. I think because I'm so excited. So he did not let that stop him. And when that guy from Philadelphia called him, what did he do? He got right on a plane and took it to to show them what it was all about. And guess what? That's why we have super soakers today. And this week in my town, it's hot. A good super soaker fight would be awesome. Let's see. Did you know? Again, I had to look at my notes because I don't want to get it wrong. Mr. Lonnie Johnson is still inventing today. Yep, that's right. He's still inventing today. And I want you to tell someone about this story and tell them how he had so much perseverance, because I only mentioned just a few things. And I know that you were listening really carefully and you can figure out some of the other things that gave him perseverance. And think about, what can you do to have perseverance? Remember, it's refusing to give up when life gets hard. So when we don't get our way, or we drop a ball at baseball, or we miss a field goal, or we fall down when we're roller skating or riding our bike, what do? We refuse to give up and we keep on going. All right. So much today, and I know it was a long one, but they're so exciting. Remember, Word Wednesday, our word of the day, perseverance. Keep on persevering, and remember that every day is a new adventure. So go out and have one. I'll see you next time from my teacher closet. Bye-bye.